You
It's
did
a little
it. We
dark. Let
did
me turn
it.
on my, there we go. I made it.
Oh, I'm happy that we did it right.
Yes, yes. I'm still getting used to TikTok, so thanks for being patient with me. I'll get
Oh,
my
for
light going so
sure.
you guys can see me.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Michelle.
Good to see you too. Your lighting is so good and you look so pretty.
Oh, thank you. Likewise, right back at ya. Hey,
Aw.
thanks, Moondog. We got some gifts sent our way. Thanks, Moondog.
Aw.
Thank you. So this is my friend Michelle Marie from Astrological Tarot.
Hi.
And some of you may have remembered her from when we did our 2023 world predictions and zodiac predictions. And in that time, it was brought up a number of times that we were talking about Vedic astrology, and not everybody understands what that means, right?
Yeah,
So
it's a little different than Western.
I suggested you teach us.
Okay.
So here you are, as an amazing teacher as you are. Thank you, Shannon.
Oh,
We should sit back and learn a few things, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Shannon 46, you're so sweet.
yeah,
Very
that's
nice of you to
nice,
say
eh?
that about Tamir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So
what
please,
would you like to know first,
well,
Tamir? Like, what do you think the
well,
audience would want to hear?
well, how it affects their sign. Like you said something about me not actually being a Leo,
Yes, I
and that
did.
struck my
You're the same.
interest.
You're the same nakshatra as I am. It's Pushya nakshatra, and it falls in Cancer. And it's because Vedic astrology is calculated a little differently than Western astrology. So if you look at, if you think of the Milky Way is the galaxy in which our solar system is located, and it contains billions of stars. And the whole galaxy revolves around this center of this point or the center of reference. And the center of this is called Vishnu Navi in Vedic astrology, which is the basically the navel of Vishnu, which is the creator of, or sorry, the creator is Brahma, but it's also known as Brahma, but the preserver of the universe. So our solar system is located within the Milky Way. So you have the Milky Way here. Our solar system's about right here. Okay, and the center is over here. So in Vedic astrology, what we do is we match the, how do I say this? The Earth's points and the other planetary points to that center of the galaxy. And in Western astrology, we match it to the sun and the equinoxes. And so that's why in Western astrology, we also call it solar astrology, because it's all about the sun and the equinoxes that take place every year via the sun. Whereas a Vedic astrology is we look at the stars, the fixed stars in the sky, and we look at the exact measurement of the planet to that star group. And in Western, we would look to the sun for that calculation. So it's just a little bit different. And how do I explain this the better way?
So
So
how
there
does
are
then
12
that affect
constellations in
us?
each. Oh, go ahead.
So then, is that because? So are you saying then because we look at it differently, we are standing at different reference points when we look
Mm-hmm.
at the star sign, sun sign?
Yes, exactly.
So then,
So
so if I'm
Vedic
standing over
astrology
here,
is
yeah.
based on the fixed star constellations. We are looking at the galaxy as a whole in Vedic astrology. Whereas in Western astrology, it's very much based upon our solar system and the way that the sun interacts with the Earth in the orbit
So
there. It's based on the
do you know about
equinoxes.
sidereal or tropical?
Well, tropical is Western and sidereal is considered Vedic. So basically, there are billions and billions of stars, but only a fraction of them are visible from Earth. And so these are basically called the constellations. And these 12 constellations kind of fall uniformly in a circle because the galaxy is kind of in an ellipsis in a circle. Okay. So there we have Aries, we have Gemini, we have Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So we
I
have
see.
got all of the constellations there, and we put them into sectors in accordance to each of these constellations. And with each constellation, we have a nakshatra, which represents the pada or a section, a little section of the constellation where we can get a little bit more specific. So in the Western calculation, there are only four distinct points on the orbit, and that's the winter solstice, the summer solstice, the spring equinox, and the fall equinox. And the winter solstice is the point of orbit where the hemisphere of the Earth creates the longest night of the year, and the summer is obviously the longest day of the year. So again, it's based on the solar position in the sky. Um, and then, so basically, over time, it's been over 2,000 years since these two kind of have started to separate. And as of present, the Ayanamsa, which is the difference between the two systems, is between 22 and 25 degrees. So,
So
for
unlike the
instance, if you wanted to
28.
know your Vedic or your Western, so you have your Western sign. I am a Leo. Okay, I'm in the first 30 degrees of Leo. I would go back uh, 22 to 25, depending on which system you're using, because there's three systems in Vedic astrology, Lahiri being the most popular. That's the one that I use. You would go back 22 to 25 degrees to find your sign. Like, for instance, my moon is in 6 degrees of Aquarius. So, what that means is I'm also, and that's in Vedic, so I'm also a Western Aquarian moon because I'm right at the beginning of Aquarius in Vedic and I'm at the very, very end in Western. So, I would fall in the same sign. But let's say I'm at the beginning of Leo, that would put me in Cancer. If I were at the very end of Leo, I would still be in Leo. Does that make any sense?
It does. 1 second.
Okay.
Sarah, and everybody, anybody else in the room, if you tap that screen, that's showing how
Oh.
much you like the live. Just keep tapping. In fact, a lot of taps throws us into the algorithm and is really good for our whole experience. Thank you. Tap the screen. Thanks, Shannon. Thank you. So yes, that does make sense to me. That does make sense to me. Maybe not the rest of the room, but it sure makes sense to me what you
Well,
said.
in the Western zodiac, what creates this change in degrees is they have a precession rate, and the precession rate is determined by the equinoxes and the solstices. So that incurs 1 degree every 72 years. And we're between 22 and 25 degrees there. So you can do the math on the last time this was this was calculated.
Mhm. Mhm.
So they will meet up again in about 26,000 years and they'll be the same. Uh, but unlike the Western zodiac, the Vedic zodiac is relatively fixed as it maintains its relationship with the stars and the center and preserves its relationship with the center of the galaxy. So you line up the Earth with the center of the galaxy, you make a point, and then you go with all the degrees, and it's like, okay, you're this, or this. And Western, you look to the sun, you look at the equinoxes, and you assign a sign based on that. They're both just culturally relevant, different ways of calculating the sky, calculating the stars.
Do you
So
think they're
one's
both
just
accurate?
as being a Western astrologer, I studied since I was 9 years old, and I started doing it professionally in 2001. So I've been doing it for a very long time. Vedic, I picked up about 5 years ago, and I've been basically doing hardcore studies. I do 9 month classes every year via an academy. And after doing a deep dive into that and comparing it to the Western, it's really it's about perspective, if that makes any sense. It's about a cultural perspective. Like, it's the same thing as if you were to look at Chinese astrology, or if you were to look at Native American astrology, or if you were to look at Mayan astrology. It's a different interpretation of the celestial bodies and how to calculate them. And so they have different cultural significations. And what I tell people is don't be dogmatic when it comes to astrology. I've noticed a lot of Western astrologers that go into Vedic, they'll jump in and say, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing, in depth, specific thing I've ever seen. And they're true because it goes deep. You have multiple charts in Vedic astrology, like you have your birth chart, you have your dharmic chart, which is what you're supposed to do while you're here in this body, in this avatar, as we call it. Um,
How do they differ?
it
So you said there's three kinds of Vedic astrology.
Yeah, there's three ways of calculating it. So there's the Lahiri, and the Lahiri system is what the Indian national government recognizes the most accurate, and that's about 24.1425 degrees. And then a BV Raman system, it's at 22.698 degrees. And then there's the Sri Yutekeswar, which is not as used as often. That was in 499 AD, and that was Yeah, I think that one is around 25, if I can remember. Let me think.
So how do they
No, no,
differ?
it's 22.81. That's right. So they're a little bit different in degrees, and it's just different mathematical calculations of how you look at it.
So sort of looking at it from this position, then maybe this one, and then maybe
Hmm.
that one.
Bingo, bingo. And there's multiple ways of calculating it, and then just kind of finding what fits. I mean, here's an example of how I found Western and Vedic astrology to have married each other. I know my chart better than anybody that I've done, just because that's how I started astrology, was trying to figure out what was going on with this. So I I've been told by others that, oh my gosh, you're such a Leo. You're such a Leo. When I was a Western astrologer, you're such a Leo. You're so good at speaking on stage and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I was a teacher and I'm comfortable and I'm extroverted. So these are all Leo qualities, taking up leadership positions, things like that. And so I found out I was a Cancer in Vedic astrology, but it's ruled by Pushya. And Pushya is ruled by both Jupiter and Saturn, and it represents teachers. So I thought that was really interesting. You have it as well. But my Aruda Lagna, which is the Lagna that other people see you as, it's because we live in a world called Maya in Vedic astrology. And so it's an illusion. Like this is all, and
Okay.
all the physical that we have here in the Vedic sciences, we believe that this is an illusion. It's temporary. Not that it isn't real, it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's not permanent. Like spirit is permanent. These bodies are not permanent. This earth is not permanent. This is called Loka, the place where all things die. Rocks, people, humans, animals. No one makes it out of here alive.
Right.
Um, so we're in this place called Loka, and we all have this role in the play to call. It's in Maya, the illusion. And so we're all in this play, also called Lila, in Maya, the illusion. And the way that people see you is your Rudalagna. Mine's in Leo. And so when people see me, they go, Leo, even though I'm more Cancer, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
I'm also a bit of an anomaly for people because I was born close to a full moon, and so my moon is in Aquarius and my sun is in Leo, so they're completely opposing each other. So people are like, how can you be so passionate and forward and extroverted and then just become so detached and cold and like scientific? And I'm like, well, that's my moon and my sun.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I tell people you've got a rising, you've got a moon, you've got a sun, and in Western astrology, it's literally called solar astrology. It's all about the sun sign. It's how you shine. But in Vedic astrology, the sun only takes part in your life. So every life has a 120-year span. Okay, the sun
Okay.
only dominates about 6 years of that entire 120 years. That's when the sun, basically what I call, gets in the driver's seat of the car and starts driving your life. So let's say you're born in Moon Mahadasha. You would take on a lot of the personalities of your moon, and that would go on for 10 years. Then you would enter Mars for 10 years. Then you would enter Rahu for 18 years. Then you would enter Jupiter for 17 years. And so each planet has an assigned sign and an assigned nakshatra within that sign and a pada within that nakshatra, and it just keeps going. It's like down the rabbit's hole. And then there's 60 to 108 divisions deep in the charts that you can. So, like for instance, I can look at your birth chart and it's like this is kind of a snapshot of what you looked like when you landed here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to your D9, which is your dharmic chart, and that tells me how you plan to change on a soul level during this incarnation. Like, for instance, my moon goes from Aquarius to Scorpio. So by the time I turn 36, I should take on more of the Scorpion moon qualities because and I am. I'm a researcher. I'm a Vedic astrologer. I'm very much good. I'm very comfortable with the occult and tarot and everything else, which is very Scorpion. Um, and then you've got, other charts like your Drekana chart. That would be your siblings. You could look at other charts like, let's see, your D10, that's your career chart, your Dasamsha chart. And that would tell me like what the best career would be for you and where your gifts are there. Um, and yeah, it
But
just keeps
this
going
this
on and
also
on.
happens. Doesn't this also happen with the Western astrology? You can look at the chart and find out all of these same things.
You can similarly, you would look at like they all contain 12 houses and the houses are
Mm-hmm.
very similar. So like the first house is the ascendant, your body, yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The second
Mm-hmm.
house would be like savings, money, what you put in your mouth, food, things like that. The third house would be your self efforts. In Western astrology, it's also associated with communications. The fourth house, again, home, mother, your internal life, how you live, your
Mhm.
private life. Uh, fifth house is children and creativity. Sixth house is what they call karma yoga or service to the community. Your seventh house would be marriage or long-term partnerships. Your eighth house would be transformation, death, rebirth, how you change on a soul level and what you kind of came here to do, the really, really deep, dark stuff. It also represents inheritances because that's money that you were given when someone passed away. The ninth house is the father, the guru. It also represents travel, long distance travel in foreign countries. The 10th house represents your career. We were just talking about that, and what planets are there, how they're aspected, etc. Can tell you a lot about your career. The 11th house is your tribe. It also represents elder siblings in Vedic astrology, as well as profits, money. And then your 12th house is loss, but it also represents moksha, self realization, or how you view spirituality. So, and it's pretty much the same in Western and Vedic. Vedic charts are a little different. They come in Eastern, Southern style. I prefer Southern because it goes it goes in one direction. I don't have to uh, kind of try to figure out where. I mean, I know the Kendras are in the middle, but it's just easier for me to read a South Indian chart than a North one because I've dealt with Western for so long.
I was going to
Um,
say, but when you're doing readings, like you did a chart for me, and it took you
mhm.
a long time. Did you use both of the astrological views, or how did you do that?
I did Vedic for you, but I did keep in mind your Western heritage when I did it. So,
Mhm.
like for instance, not a lot of Western astrologers look at the outer planets because they don't deem them to be as personally relevant. They're more generationally relevant. Well, I think generationally we should be studying that too. And so I'll look at Pluto, I'll look at Neptune, I'll look at Uranus. I find that Uranus oppositions, returns, etc., tend to bring out health problems and things like that. Now, I can look to other areas of the Vedic chart to find those as well, but I like to incorporate the outer planets too. And when we
Mhm.
did yours, I did keep your Western in mind, but I did almost all Vedic because I wanted to introduce you to the concept and kind of that's what you wanted.
Mhm.
So it's what you
Yeah, for sure,
what you asked
for
for.
sure. I love learning. For me, I mean, you
You
probably saw that
do.
in my chart.
You're very, yeah, you do. You have that.
Yeah, I am always, always, always learning. I'll be an eternal student forever.
Well,
Whether or
that
not
is
I'll
what
be a
Pusha is, because Pusha is ruled by the karmic teacher, Saturn, and the teacher to the Devas and the sages, which is Jupiter. And your moon is in Vishaka, which is in Libra, the very, very end of Libra in the Vedic charts. And Vishaka is ruled by Jupiter. But being in Libra, it could make you like guru to, and this is called the Rakshasas, which are demons here. Demons are not horned little creatures running around and tormenting us, even though they can be. Um, they're the things that we're working on inside ourselves, those kind of deep, dark things that we came to fish out and look at and deal with in the human body. That's what you can fish out of people and help them deal with, if that makes any
it is what I
sense.
do.
Okay, well, then there you go. So, and that would be your nakshatra. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I do
oh,
a lot of shamanic healing. In fact, today I was doing. I mean, I usually take 4 to 6 people on in a term, so that I don't have too much going on. I can always remember their stories and stay with them. When I do the work that I do there, and that makes sense that that's in there. Now, I loved my reading with you. I will tell you that it was
oh,
very in depth and very informative. I'm almost not sure what to do with it all because it's that much,
it's a lot.
right? It was that much. So yeah, anyone who's looking for a really good astrology reading, you definitely want to see my friend here. I'm sure you will
Thank you.
be very informed, very helpful, very helpful. Thank you, by the way, Michelle. If you want to get a reading with my friend Michelle here, or what would you? It's a natal chart, right?
Yeah, I would start off with the natal chart and dharmic chart, and then I could do questions with the other charts as well. But I like
Yeah.
to get to really know a person first and do an in-depth reading before I do like daily readings or other things
Mhm.
like that, because there are so many charts to mirror in Vedic.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure. I
yeah.
do my own readings, my tarot readings. I incorporated some of the Western astrological aspects, which I know more about.
Mhm.
But even that, I mean, I'm still a backyard astrologer as far as I'm concerned. I've been studying for about 30 years, but still I find myself learning every day, and I just don't feel like I can call myself an expert there. But I do feel expertise in the tarot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with the tarot, but I've only been doing it for 10 years. But
Yeah. Well,
astrology,
I've
it
been
was
doing
just,
it
I
for
was
30.
born going, I want to do this, you know? So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
that's what we were talking about. You came in on the astrological winds or wave, and I came in through the tarot and going across. So it's
Hmm.
inevitable that you're going to meet the other side because it's just that kind of a thing, right?